You're listening to Four Things to Know, a WCCO daily news podcast.
Today is Wednesday, August 19th. I'm Johnny Connor. Thank you for watching and listening to Four Things to Know today. Let's get to our top story. It's a big one. Today in federal court, there was a hearing on the ban of a technology that can digitally take your clothes off in pictures and videos. You may have heard about this. We've been following it for quite a while. Elon Musk is fighting the state of Minnesota over the new state law, and we've learned the Department of Justice is taking Musk's side. His company, XAI, is suing Minnesota over a new law that bans AI nudification. Now, AI nudification is when AI-powered apps create fake, sexualized images of real people. That includes images made without that person's consent. XAI argues that Minnesota's law is too broad and violates the First Amendment. The company first asked a judge to block the law before it took effect on August 1st, but the judge denied that request, saying the company waited too long to bring the case. So the DOJ filed a statement of interest in the case, and they were in the courtroom today. The DOJ says there are already federal laws that address the same issues as Minnesota's law, adding that states must be careful not to impose excessive measures that hinder American national security and economic security. We heard from State Senator Aaron Mayquade today after that hearing.
200 out of 201 legislators in the Minnesota legislature voted in favor of this bill. This is the bill that I hear about, the law I hear about the most from Minnesotans. The consequences of this nudification technology are vast. We took a tremendous amount of time to make sure that we were able to get a very good law on the books, and we did it over the course of 2 years.
Now, according to the civil complaint, XAI says it doesn't contest Minnesota's interest in stopping the dissemination of artificially generated nude images of real people, but they say the law extends far beyond that goal. So again, today's hearing was all about whether the judge should temporarily stop Minnesota from enforcing the law while the larger legal challenge moves through court. WCCO's Adam Duxter was in court today. He'll have more tonight. Your second thing to know. Today, hundreds of documents from a lawsuit filed by the state of Minnesota related to straw purchasing were released. The state is continuing to push for accountability after a deadly shooting was linked to an illegally owned gun. Here's WCCO's Barrett Leone with more.
Earlier this year, the state settled a 2022 lawsuit against Fleet Farm, claiming they knew about illegal straw purchasing. That's when someone legally buys a gun with the intention to give it to someone who cannot buy a gun legally. And now you can see all the court documents for yourself. Nearly 700 documents from the lawsuit are now available to the public. We sat down with Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison ahead of this move. He says the documents show Fleet Farm ignored a warning about selling guns to a potential straw buyer. According to the AG's office, a straw gun purchased at Fleet Farm was used in this deadly shooting at Truck Park in St. Paul nearly 5 years ago. Documents also show an internal Fleet Farm PowerPoint to employees after that shooting, saying the sales should have seen a red flag. Ellison's office says this release will help everyone from store owners to gun owners and public health researchers.
But I'd say the ultimate beneficiary will be the public who has a right not to be shot, you know. If you are a parent worried about school shootings, if you are a parent worried about sending your kids to just go out for the evening or whatever, because of this this lawsuit and because of the settlement that it brought that came from it, we believe that people will be safer.
Ellison added Fleet Farm has made meaningful changes since the lawsuit. You can find these documents on the University of California, San Francisco's Industry Documents Library.
Number 3, following the sweeping executive order banning mining near the boundary waters by Governor Walz, you may be asking yourself, well, what is really at stake? So we asked people in Ely what they thought earlier this spring after Congress overturned a ban on mining in the area. We spoke to a man named Al King. He's an Iron Range miner in Eveleth who was laid off more than a year ago. And he's one of hundreds of miners looking for work, and unemployment benefits, he says, have run dry.
I think any semblance of hope of 2 more generations living up here is at stake if we can't figure this out.
He says his family's livelihood is at stake, and he feels mining jobs can give his kids a future, staying up north, that is. But then you have people like Bob Tamman. Bob worked decades in the mining industry, but he also loves the Boundary Waters. It holds a special place in his heart.
A little over a year ago, I scattered my wife's ashes on this river. I don't want the mining industry to use it for a drainage ditch.
Bob also owns land near a proposed mining site, so it could directly impact him in that way as well. He's now against any mining in the region. GOP gubernatorial candidate Lisa Dameth responded to Governor Walz' executive order, saying in part, quote, Tim Walz, Amy Klobuchar, and Democrats in the legislature continue their hostility toward Minnesota mining, taking job growth opportunities off the table before they can even go through the regulatory review process. Now, staying up north in the Boundary Waters, the Ely community gathered yesterday to honor a firefighter who died while fighting those wildfires up north. Officials say Leslie Washington suffered a medical emergency while fighting the Bear Trap Fire in Ely last week. Washington's from Alaska and leaves behind a family, including 2 sons. Hundreds of community members came out to honor him, and many say it was a stark reminder of the sacrifices that first responders make.
He didn't know us, but he came anyway and gave everything by doing it.
It's hard to think about sometimes. You always know something could happen, but you don't expect it.
A member of the Minnesota DNR also read a letter from Minnesota Governor Walz at the tribute. A GoFundMe has been set up to help his family. Number 4, thousands of pets will soon have access to more care. That's because the Humane Society is building a brand new clinic. Leaders actually broke ground today on the new 13,000 square foot clinic. The new space will double the capacity of the existing clinic in Golden Valley. The Humane Society says the facility is part of their mission to create affordable veterinary services. They added that as costs for families continue to rise, they want to make sure that pets are getting the care that they really need. Here's more from Lisa Erickson, who's on the Humane Society's board of directors.
The building that will rise here is an investment in health, hope, and opportunity. Most importantly, it's an investment in the thousands of animals and families whose lives will positively be impacted by the work that's done here.
The new clinic is expected to open late next year. Eventually, the current clinic will be demolished as part of the expansion. Those are your 4 things to know today. Let's get a check-in now on our next weather forecast.
All right, we had a great forecast for our Wednesday. Check out these high temperatures right around our metro average. So very, very comfortable this afternoon. We have 70s and 80s, 82 degrees coming out of the cities. Nice breeze, few clouds, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, cooling back down to the 60s with low humidity in the forecast. And we're back to the 80s tomorrow.
And now, here's more to know.
The former police officer convicted of murdering George Floyd is trying to get his state charges dismissed again. Derek Chauvin filed an appeal yesterday claiming the court and the state broke the law while handling his case. Chauvin's attorneys say Governor Walz did not have the authority to assign the case to Attorney General Keith Ellison. The appeal also claims that Hennepin County should have called for a grand jury to weigh in before charging Chauvin. He is currently serving a 22-year sentence for the 2020 murder. Chauvin has appealed multiple times, and several courts have upheld his conviction. We have an update to a story that we first brought you on Monday. You'll remember that burglars broke into the safe at a popular St. Paul restaurant over the weekend. And it turns out one of the thieves actually hit another place the next morning. But now that man is behind bars and facing charges. St. Paul police say they caught the same guy trying to break into the Lexington on Grand Avenue later in the week. They say as they were taking him into custody, the suspect, quote, sprayed an officer in the face with pepper spray and attempted to disarm the officer of their taser. Now, the owner of the Gnome, Brian Ingram, says he's frustrated with what happens after St. Paul police catch the perpetrators. He says he actually got a letter from the Ramsey County Attorney's Office the last time this happened.
The top sentence literally says, in the interest of justice, we've decided not to press charges. Who, in the interest of justice for who? It's not for me. It's not for our staff.
The Ramsey County attorney charged a 29-year-old man with 6 counts, including burglary and assaulting a peace officer. We'll keep you updated on that case. Minnesota is making a multi-million-dollar investment to help boost the teacher workforce across the state. That investment is to the tune of $41 million. The Minnesota Department of Education awarded that funding to several grant programs across the state. The department says the money will be used to strengthen the educator pipeline and retain high-quality teachers. And speaking of schools, it can be tough for kids to transition from sleeping late over the summer to getting up early once the school year starts. And we know that's just around the corner. But there are things that parents can do in advance to ease the adjustment. Sleep can impact everything from your child's mood to their immune system. Pediatricians like Dr. Amanda Kravitz say the most important thing for getting back on track is not to wait until the night before school starts.
So really, for the weeks and days leading up to back to school, you want to try and shift their bedtime schedule up by 15 to 30 minutes every night, so that by the time the first night of school rolls around, they're sort of back on their regular routine.
The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends preschoolers get at least 10 hours of sleep a night. Grade school children should get at least 9. Teens should get at least 8, if not 10 hours of shut-eye. Wow, that sounds amazing. Wish I got that much, but I guess I'm not that young anymore. I never got that growing up in school either. I would always just stay up late. And yeah, I'm not the best role model for that. Let's get to some sports headlines. NFL training camp is here, of course, and the Vikings are hosting the Baltimore Ravens for joint practices this week, today and tomorrow. I'm actually heading out there tomorrow as a fan just to watch, so that should be fun. But it's a good time for players to get in work against real teams because not much happens actually in preseason games anymore. So coaches will say that the joint practices are almost more important than the preseason games themselves. We asked safety Josh Metellus about this week's practices.
It's going to be physical. That's a organization that's known for their physicality. A team that known for their physicality. Their leaders are very physical. So, we know where we're going to get. Obviously, new blood, new feeling for them. But obviously they're trying to reclaim their stake in their division.
The Lynx are in Golden State tonight taking on the Valkyries. Now, this should be a really good game because these two teams are the best in the league. Here are the records. The Lynx are 29-7. They lead the league. And the Valkyries, number 2, 25-9. Should be a good game tonight.
It's time to take a breath with your Daily Bright Spot.
Listen to this. After years of wandering Minnesota's Northwoods, a lone wolf officially has a pack. The Voyagers Wolf Project first collared a large male wolf 2 summers ago. They monitored him as he made his way and at times was chased through other wolves' territory. But then this winter, they actually caught him on camera with 2 other wolves. The trio showed up together 6 more times, so experts now think that he is the dominant wolf in his brand new pack. Isn't that nice? And I think it's pretty cool too. Listen to this. According to Voyagers, forest territories are fiercely guarded by established packs. So lone wolves must travel quietly, rarely howl. They want to avoid being seen as trespassing. And if a resident pack actually catches a lone wolf on their territory, they will often kill it. So it is a good story that wolf was able to find a pack. I know whatever happens in the wild goes, but 2 years roaming on its own, and now it's got some buddies again. That's pretty nice. It would be crazy just to go up there and see some wolves. I would love to. Even in Yellowstone, I've watched some videos, and those wolves up there look fun to see from a distance, of course, but I've always been fascinated. Wolves, obviously the relationship with dogs. But yeah, that's a fun one. And Voyagers, they always post a bunch of stuff on their website. So if you're bored, feel free to check that out. Well, I'm Johnny Connor. This has been 4 Things to Know. We're here with the news you need every weekday afternoon by 3 o'clock. Maria will be back with us next week. She's on vacation this week in case you're missing her. I'm ready for her to return. Have a good night, everybody. Talk to you tomorrow.
Listen to 4 Things to Know, a WCCO daily news podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.